brand new episode of Talking Point with me, your host, Papri Dash. When Abhijit Avasthi quit his position as the national creative head of Ogilvy and Mather India, the entire industry was taken aback. Well, since his reasons were shrouded in mystery, he was also the subject of many conspiracy theories. It's been 6 months since then and the mystery still remains. Here's your chance to uncover that mystery and find out what Abhijit Avasthi has been up to lately. Hello and welcome to our show, sir.
Thank you very much.
So, how has been your life since you quit Ogilvy and Mather?
The last 6 months have been fabulous. I've got so much time to do things that I've been wanting to do for a long while. A lot of personal time, a chance to read up and catch up on a lot of things. I've had the opportunity to interact with many people. So overall, it's been very interesting.
How was it adjusting to your new life?
Actually, I've surprised myself. I've become, I've begun to enjoy the laziness, and I didn't expect that to happen. But on a more serious note, initially it was a little odd because from a really hectic 24/7 lifestyle to suddenly not knowing what to do, not just the next hour, but even after 6 hours or the next day, definitely took some time to get used to. And also what's happened is because advertising as a business is so dynamic. Even though I did take breaks in my last 15 years of working, but I could never mentally switch off. This was probably the first time in the last 15-17 years that there's no load on my mind. So it was fantastic.
Now that you have no load on your mind, so what do you do? How do you spend your day?
The good thing is that there's no plan, but what's nice is I'm getting a lot of time with my children. I'm getting a lot of time with my family. I've gotten to travel a lot in the last few months within India as well as outside. I've caught up with pretty much every relative that I have. If there's a function in the family, I always say, okay, I'll be there, don't worry. So that's been good. I've managed to catch up on a lot of reading, a lot of movies and serials and things that the world would talk about, but I didn't have the chance to do that. I think I've gained a lot of knowledge in terms of a whole lot of other things. When you're in a certain industry, you focus only on that. But because now I've had the time and sort of the space to take in a lot more, it's been quite enriching on sort of the knowledge front as well.
So tell us a little bit about your equation with Piyush Pandey. He's your uncle. What's your dynamic like?
So he's a very special person in my life, and I get very emotional when I talk about him, because not only have I learned so much from him professionally, but I think just my worldview of life has been hugely influenced by the way he looks at things. And I don't think I would take any big decision in my life without his advice. So right from the time when I was trying to date my wife till even now when I was trying to quit Ogilvy and do something on my own. So I'm like, he's a big support for me, and I know it for a fact that he's one person I can say anything to without fear of any kind of he'd be frank and honest in what he thinks is the right thing.
So I'm sure you have been asked this like a zillion times already, but your reasons for quitting Ogilvy and Mather?
I've always maintained this, that the reason I quit Ogilvy was a very personal one. It was not professional. And what I mean by that is, it's not that I quit because I wanted to further my career or I was looking for a big designation or a big role or to make big bucks. Somewhere in the last few years, what had been happening to me is, although I did enjoy every day in advertising, there was this nagging question in my mind that, can I do something else? Where else can I apply what I've been doing, what I've learned? And just this little desire to explore certain new things, new journeys. Very crudely put, I can say I was just up for an adventure, and I think that's probably the reason I did it. Piyush was aware of it for almost a year and a half, because it took us that much time to sort of negotiate my exit, because he wanted me to stay back, and he did throw in some very interesting options of me being able to pursue some of my passions while being in Ogilvy. But somehow I wasn't convinced about that, because whatever you do will always come at the cost of what you're doing for the company, and I felt that it would be unfair for me to be in Ogilvy but pursue what really the passions that I want to pursue. And therefore, after a lot of discussions and debates and things, he finally agreed to let me go.
You must have read about all the interesting theories that have come up explaining your reasons for quitting.
Yeah.
So what do you have to say about those?
That's okay. I think it's all in a good laugh. I am not surprised that people were speculating, because on paper, if you see logically, there's no reason for me to quit. I was doing something which I loved. I was doing well in it, and in terms of a very typical traditional way of looking at life, I had a set career, and I was headed for greater glory. But so I'm not surprised that people are wondering, why did he do this? But that's okay. People have a lot of time. They need to talk about something over lunch. I guess the IPL was not on at that point in time, and so they said, okay, let's discuss Abhijit.
So, like you guys saying earlier, you're an army brat. So, how was life as an army brat? Any instances, funny stories from there that you'd like to share?
Oh, absolutely. I think defense life has a charm that like nothing else. Just because you get to travel all across India, you meet people from different communities, from different cultures, you get to celebrate all kinds of festivals. I think all those are really, really special moments. I think one of my favoriteest memories is, while we celebrated every festival with absolute gusto, Christmas used to be special. And the best part of Christmas, over and above, just singing carols and stuff, used to be our Santa Claus used to come in a helicopter. And that was very cool, because so what the parents would do is they would ask one young officer to dress up as Santa Claus, and they would give him the gifts. And all of us kids would be put in a truck, and we would go to the airstrip, at the Air Force airstrip, and we were waiting, and the chopper comes, cut, and the Santa comes out of a helicopter. You can't beat that. So I think those were absolutely phenomenal days.
When you started off your career, you were nowhere planning to become an ad man, be in this industry at all.
Yeah.
So can you tell us how you started off your career and ended up with Ogilvy and Mather?
My journey's been rather circuitous. When I was in school, actually I wanted to join the Air Force. My father was an Air Force pilot, and I thought he led the most fascinating life. So at one point in time, I wanted to join the Air Force. In fact, I also took the written exam for the National Defense Academy, and I think that was in May 1987. I cleared it, and next I was supposed to go for the physical examination, the physical test, which I think was in October 87. And between May and October, I got spectacles. So there went my dream for being a pilot. So then the next thing I said is, okay, like all good students in the late 80s and early 90s, I said, okay, let me do engineering. So I went and I started doing engineering in Banaras Hindu University. I finished my course. And after that, I worked in a steel plant, and this was at SR Steel in Hazira in Gujarat. I did that for a while, and for some personal reasons, I had to shift back to Delhi, where my father, by the time, he had quit the Air Force, and he had set up a plant which made dyes for printing and dyeing of textiles. So I went and I joined him, and for the next 4 years, I helped him in that. And on the side, I did a couple of other side businesses. I was trading in sarees along with a friend of mine. We were making some rather pathetic attempts to export playing cards and casserole and matchboxes from India.
Matchboxes.
Yeah. So that time, I was 21, 22. The idea was just to have fun. So whatever seemed interesting that day, you would take it up. I did that for about 3-4 years, and when I came to Bombay in '97, I met a couple of people, and some of them suggested that, listen, you have a interesting way of looking at things. Why don't you give advertising a shot? At least that way you will be able to determine what you enjoy doing. So I actually got into advertising in '97 more to figure out what I might enjoy, print or video or audio medium and things like that. So I joined this agency called Enterprise Nexus in '97. I was there for 2 years, and after that in '99 I was sort of called over to Ogilvy by the then head of the Ogilvy Bombay office.
The initial few years in Ogilvy and Mather, how was that?
It was a little daunting, I have to admit. I have never been, the way you typically call someone to be creative, that he writes very well, or he draws very well, or he is a great sculptor. I was never like that. I was as square as you can conventionally be. Left brain, I was good in science, did my engineering, etc. So yes, it was a little awkward for me, because I was suddenly surrounded by these people who had crazy imaginations. They were very extroverted in their nature. They were gregarious, and also, I had this thing in my mind. I don't drink or smoke, so I was like, I think I'm a big misfit over here. So it did take a lot of sort of encouraging myself to demonstrate to myself first, and then to the others, that yes, I am capable of doing some interesting creative thinking.
Which is by far your favorite work?
I had gone to Australia for a shoot, and I hailed a taxi, and I'm speaking to the taxi driver, and I had a feeling he's either from India or Pakistan, and he was from Pakistan, and we got chatting, and something happened, and the topic reached advertising, and he said, which my favorite ad is? So I said, which one? So he said, it's the Cadbury Pappu Paas Ho Gaya ad, and I was like, that's quite amazing. Here's somebody who's from Pakistan, I meet him in Australia, and his favoriteest ad in the world is something that I've done. So that's a high of a different kind. We were fortunate enough to do the Google reunion campaign, which is about the Pakistan partition. The emotional response that elicited from people across the world, the kind of letters that I got, just saying like, thank you for making an ad like that. I think that kind of public affection is a high of a different kind.
So tell me about your new venture. What are you up to? What can we expect next from Abhijit Avasthi?
I'm still, I would say, in the thinking phase. I have a rough direction in mind. I know it's going to be something which will be in the area of creative problem solving. I'm also excited by the possibility of what can happen when people of different skill sets come together. Like what happens if on a table you put a writer, an art guy, an engineer, a tech guy, and a behavioral psychologist. I think something amazing can happen. So I'm trying to put together an entity which combines people of different skill sets and then can solve problems innovatively across verticals. So not necessarily only in branding, advertising and communication. Tomorrow you want us to innovate on a product or a service, we can do that. You want us to solve a dealer loyalty program, we'll come up with something interesting in that. So or an innovative content for a television channel. So it's in that direction. So I'm in the process of putting a team like that together. I have found some interesting people, but I'm definitely looking to hire more, and I'm looking for people with different skill sets. So yeah, if there's anybody out there who'd like to be part of an exciting, innovative problem solving outfit, you could be from any background and any part of India, I'd love to meet them.
Interesting cue for our viewers who can actually check out and get in touch with you maybe.
Absolutely,
if they think they are up for the job.
Sure.
Well, it was a pleasure talking
pleasure.
to you, and thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.